Are you curious or even willing to produce your own manioc flour, whether to sell or for your own consumption? So just follow Camille Azafin in this article. Because today I'm here to tell you how cassava flour is made. If you have a typically Brazilian product, and so common on our daily table, that product is manioc flour, for sure. It is widely consumed in Brazil, mainly in the north and northeast regions of the country. It is basically made from a process with the cassava root, but come along and I'll tell you more about it. My goal here, as I told you, is to show you precisely the step-by-step of how cassava flour is made. After reading all this information, you can start your own production, who knows? A lot of people will only read this text out of curiosity, but other people will use the knowledge to make money. What are you going to do? How is cassava flour made? The method of making cassava flour is very simple. It basically involves water and cassava, and that is why it is very common to be made manually and at home. By many families who have maintained this tradition for years. The whole process of how cassava flour is made starts at planting. It has to be done at the right time and at the right time. Usually it takes more than a year to wait, to give rise to a better quality product and thus a better quality flour. Let's go to the steps of preparing cassava flour, after planting cassava. Because it is a root, it is necessary to clean and wash. With this, in addition to removing the dirt and earth that are present in the root. There is also a decrease in the agents that produce hydrocyanic acid that are present in the bark of the cassava. Root and leaf of this tuber, and that if ingested, with digestion would transform these components into a highly toxic hydrocyanic acid. Then, after washing the cassava root completely, it is grated, often forming a soggy mass. This process. The better it is grated, the more it will be used for the next steps, and also reducing the amount of cruera, which is nothing else than larger root fragments that have not been sieved. Curiosity. The oldest process of grating cassava was done on stones. Until today it is done by some families in the interior that maintain this tradition of how cassava flour is made. Now, we have the cassava pressing stage, where, after the mass is grated, it is pressed. A tipati is often used, which is nothing more than a straw press, or squeezer, or a wooden press. In this press, the mass is separated into several layers and into permeable bags, for better removal and handling. At this stage, a highly toxic liquid is extracted and discarded. Known as manipura, this liquid can kill people or animals if ingested. In this next step of our process of how cassava flour is made, we have the crumbling of the dough, after pressing. This is a step that needs to be done quickly to avoid browning of the flour. Often the crumbling is done in the peccary itself, which is a grinder for roots. After all these processes, it is necessary to sieve the dough, to separate the small fragments from the large ones, to give a better quality to the flour. This part is where the fragments will be retained, which we have already talked about, called cruera. The last stage in the preparation of cassava flour is toasting. After being completely sieved, the dough is placed in the oven to remove all moisture and constantly stirred by the flour worker. Important informations. The latter is the most important phase of cassava flour preparation, as it requires a degree of knowledge to produce the best possible product. Oven temperature and flour exposure time are crucial. The flavor and texture of the flour will vary according to how it is made, mainly the process of this step. To obtain a higher quality product, there are flour workers who use different processes, such as the use of ovens to dry and another to roast the flour, so there is no chance of mixing wet flour with one that is ready to be toasted. Facts about cassava flour. Cassava flour is a cultural asset. Its manufacturing processes come from traditional indigenous methods. And evidence of the first flour manufacturing processes date back to 2,000 years. Another curiosity is that the processing of cassava root is something that generates not only our famous flour, but also several other products of our cuisine, such as dry flour, cassava gum, tukewpie and others. Also read, making jujube. Now you know how to do it. So, did you like to know how cassava flour is made? How about trying to manufacture now you already know?
Realization, separation.